Hello everybody and welcome to the equipment prayer yak part of my Mage Tank Vorago guide. Real quick, prayers you want to use, quick curses, whatever. You want to use Torment, you want to use Deflect Mage, and you want to use Protect Item. Even though Protect Item really doesn't matter, I prefer having an item over not having an item. For spell, you want to be using Gale Barrage, because the reduced target's chance to hit by 5% for 10 seconds effect will proc on abilities, and so that's quite helpful. For inventory, you want your Gale Barrage runes, you want 1 Overload Flask, 1 Renewal Flask, you want 8 Prayer Potions. I use potions because flasks are silly and there's no reason to use them. 12 Rocktail, an Offhand, I use Grapholic Orb because I'm poor as hell. A Unicorn, another Yak Pouch just in case. If you're not going to need it, you don't need to bring it, but it really doesn't hurt. And some Uni Scrolls. Then Yak full of Rocktails. And then for abilities, you want Rack, Impact, Combust, Chain, Preparation, Asphyxiate, Barricade, Surge, Resonance, Reflect, Debilitate, and Rejuvenate. You will be obviously using your main mage spells and your whatever it's called, preparation in order to build up your adrenaline. You want to use your resonance to heal yourself from the balls. You want to use your debilitate and reflect to lower your damage, the damage you take, and that's about it. For gear, Virtus Seismic, or your pop armor. You can use your Sea Singer. Kiln Cape, Completionist Cape, Skill Cape, that's kind of basic. Arcane Stream Necklace, Virtus Wand, Tectonic Wand. I'm using Gano Gloves. You can use Virtus Gloves. You can use whatever those gloves are called. They're not static gloves. Those are the melee ones. But so you want those gloves. You want Ragefire Boots, Virtus Boots, essentially that kind of stuff. Arcane Spirit Shield or Farseer Kite Shield. You can use Vampirism or Penance, Ring of Wealth if you're doing free-for-all split, or something like a static, whatever that thing's called, Third Age Circuit. If you're not doing free-for-all. So that concludes the equipment part, and I'll see you real quick for a kill. Welcome to the actual kill part of my Vorago Mage Tank Guide. At the beginning of the fight, you'll see the message down in the bottom left. Whoever's the leader of your group will start the challenge, or will challenge Vorago, and it'll say, this person has challenged Vorago. He's preparing a massive attack. Would you like to enter? And you click yes, and then right before the Vorago fight, you'll get knocked in by Vorago, and your team as a whole will be dealt 50,000 damage, which will be split among your teammates. That's why you need at least 5 people on your team, because you can't get enough health to have only 4. Now, this will be the start of Phase 1. In Phase 1 and throughout, as a mage tank, you're going to have to deal with 2 main types of attacks. You're going to have to deal with blue bombs and red bombs. Red bombs you'll receive a message for when they come. Blue bombs you won't. The blue bombs, there's really not much you can do. Just use your abilities, such as Resonance, if you have it, and if your Resonance is on cooldown, you'd want to use Reflect or Debilitate, because you want to decrease the damage from the blue balls. The blue balls are the main source of damage you're going to be taking throughout the fight, and they deal area of effect damage, so you want to stay away from your team, from your melee DPSers and from your other mage tank. So as a mage tank, your goal is not to die throughout the entire fight, and to prevent the area of effect damage from the mage attacks from hitting your team. That is literally the only thing you're going to have to do throughout the fight, other than a few other things that aren't really they're not that big of a deal. Red bombs, on the other hand, red bombs, they send you a message to say Vorago is sending a bomb at you. You could have probably seen it at the beginning of this phase. And red bomb will, just some notes about the red bomb. The red bomb deals more damage the closer you are to Vorago, so you want to be as far away as you can. The lowest amount of damage it can deal to you is 2,000, and you don't have to be all that far to get the 2,000 dealt to you. So you can kind of just know what you'll learn how close you can be and only take 2,000 damage. If you get closer and closer, it can deal up to 8,000 damage. I've seen, possibly even more. I'm not 100% sure. And see, there is the bomb that I'm referring to, that red bomb that's coming. It comes a lot slower than other bombs, so you have time to prepare and eat or whatever. But you can't really block. There's only one way you can block the damage of, which I'll cover in a minute. The red bomb. It is imperative that the red bomb does not area of effect on your team. First of all, because if you were having an area of effect on your team, you would be close enough to your team that it would be dealing about 8,000 damage to everybody. So you'll essentially be screwing your team. I've had 4 people die from one bad mage tank that runs a red bomb right into the team. So yep, the blue balls hit 2.5k as a max about. But if you're using Reflect or Debilitate, they'll deal less damage. In this phase, in phase 1, don't worry really much about your team. Just try to stay away from them. And soon you'll see your team, well, you see in the video right now, the team is trying to lure Vorago over, so your one DPS, which will be known as the Climber, he goes around the obstacle course, around the Vorago arena, and jumps on Vorago's back. And the lurer is another meleeer who will pull Vorago over to the wall, so you can get it to the point where the jumper can jump on his back. Now, you wouldn't really be a jumper. Generally, you wouldn't be a jumper or a lure as a mage tank. Now, this is something else. At the end of each phase, Vorago will jump up and down. You'll see a shadow where he's jumping, and if he lands on you, he can deal immense amounts of damage. So you want to use Surge if you need to, but just stay away from the shadows. If you see a shadow under you, then get out of the way. Now this will start phase 2. At the beginning of phase 2, don't be the first person to attack. I almost was in this case, in this particular clip, but you don't want to be the first to attack, because if you are, you often will get him to start attacking you, and you'll take a ton of damage because you're not ready to take damage from his melee attacks. Now, the mage tank is basically the same in phase 2 as they were in phase 1. As I said, you're basically the same throughout the entire kill. A few main things you'll see right here: Vorago reflects incoming damage to surrounding foes. That's his reflect, and do not attack him during this reflect. He will take any damage that you deal to him and deal it to one particular opponent of his. I've been PK'd from 9k life points to 0 because some idiot on my team used Berserk and then Assault, and it was like, alright, well, if you want to just completely kill me, do not use damage over time spells during the reflect, such as Combust, I believe it's called, because the damage over time will continue throughout and will hurt whoever has the channel going onto them. In this phase, Vorago will channel 3 times, and then everyone will start taking 150 damage. And when this happens, everybody has to spam their abilities. There'll be a green bar at the top of the screen that will say "Bring Vorago down" or something of the sorts, and you need to get that bar all the way down. And then once that happens, you want to he will like bend down, like kneel down, trying to recover. That's when you want to put on Soul Split and your dual wields, and you want to do as much damage as possible. And you do the damage to to loosen the weapon piece that is in Vorago, the next weapon piece, the next maul piece, whatever you want to call it. If you do enough damage, you loosen the weapon piece, and then you have to rinse and repeat and get the piece out. Phase 2 is generally the longest phase, but what's nice about it for a mage tank is Vorago doesn't really use his mage attacks as much during this phase, so you don't have to worry as much about them. Although you can still, I've taken a lot of damage. You can see right now this is the bring him down, and you just basically spam abilities. I don't know if defensive abilities work. All I know is spam abilities. You won't be taking any damage other than the 150s. Then, as you can see, he'll kneel down. You want to attack him, do as much damage as you can. Just crap all over him. It's really frustrating if you don't deal enough damage in this time. That's why you want to have a dual wield, because if you don't, then you're going to have to do the entire phase all over again, which basically sucks. So yeah, after this, that's basically it for phase 2. Once you do get the 3 channels and he kneels down again, and then you do enough damage and the weapon piece falls out, then you just have to kill him to get to the next phase. So I'll meet you again when we get back to phase 3. Alright guys, now to start phase 3. Phase 3 is rather basic. Your goal in phase 3 is just kill Vorago. Some things to note about phase 3 though. The first thing to note, he will jump around. After his first jump, you want to get off of him as fast as you can. Well, generally you can attack for like 2 seconds, but if you're new and you're watching this guide, you probably want to just get off of him right after he jumps the first time, because then he will start a channel. When he jumps in this phase, if he jumps on top of you, you don't take damage, but you'll see the shadow that just appeared on the screen. He will drop piles of rocks that can deal up to, I've seen, 8k damage, so don't be under the rocks or you're going to get screwed. As a mage tank, you also have the responsibility of destroying the rocks, and when you do destroy the rocks, it'll deal 4,000 damage to you, so just be prepared, be ready for that. There's not really a main gimmick to this phase, just kill him. So, yes, do that. Now, at the end of this phase, as compared to at the end of other phases, when he's jumping around, you don't want to use Surge, because you want to save Surge for the beginning of the next round, because it can be very helpful. As you can see, he just jumped on me and I didn't take any damage. So save Surge at the end of phase 3, and there's not really much else to explain for this phase. I'll meet you again at phase number 4. Alright guys, here we are at phase number 4. Phase number 4 is similar to phase number 3. He'll spawn the same rocks, he'll jump around, but he'll also do this. He will be charging an immense fire attack, and you need to get behind the waterfall. The waterfall will appear in one corner of the map. Now you need to get all the way into the corner. You cannot be one space behind the waterfall or you will take damage. I've been KO'd like that. So if you feel like you're not going to be able to get behind the waterfall, you want to safe to 10k plus HP, so that way he won't be able to one-hit you, because he can hit, I believe, up to 10k. So definitely eat some rock tails, get over your max health, just in case, especially when you're new, until you get the hang of using your run and surge to get to the corner. Also, you want to try to surge when you're actually pointing directly at the corner, or else you can surge against the wall and actually it won't help you get to the corner very much. So try to surge when you're pointing diagonally at the corner. Another trick for this phase is stay towards the middle. That way you can put your screen down like I have it, because then you can see 2 of the waterfalls. Like you can see there's the northeast and southeast waterfalls that I can see from this particular view that I have, and now I can see the northwest and the northeast. So you kind of want to turn your screen so you're basically able to see 3, and that way if you don't see the waterfall appear in one of those 3, then you know you need to look in the 4th one right behind you. Another thing about this phase, you'll know when he's going to do his fireball attacks, because it's after he reflects, then he'll do his fireball attacks. Some other things about this phase. Vorago does 5. Vorago does 3 fireballs before you can kill him in this phase. I don't know if you deal enough damage, if you could do it in 2, but I believe the weapon piece doesn't come out till 3, so he'd have to use his fire attack 3 times. Now, another gimmick with phase 4 is you can see we're all dealing low amounts of damage when we're hitting him. There's barely anything over 200, if anything over 200. The reason for that is Vorago will spawn what are called stone clones. For example, my name is Lucian Slayer. It would spawn a stone Lucian Slayer. Now, the clones will attack you and use abilities on you, and they can deal quite a bit of damage. They can also stun you. Now, what you want to do if you get a clone on you is kill it as fast as you can, because Vorago will take decreased damage from everybody, not just you. Take decreased damage from everybody while the clone is active. The clone will deal more damage the longer you let it live. It has an adrenaline bar above it, and the more it's full, the more damage it will deal, or the stronger it will become. So basically, kill your clone as fast as you can. As a mage tank, a good ability to do this with is asphyxiate, because you stun it as well as deal a lot of damage. So just kill the clone as fast as you can. And that's basically it for this phase. Just your main thing is don't get hit by the fireball attacks. And if you can do that, you're essentially set for the kill, because this phase is a lot more deadly than the last phase. So I will meet you again in phase number 5, or the final phase. Alright guys, if you've made it this far, then you are now on phase 5, which you should be proud of, because phases 1 through 4 are a lot more deadly than phase 5, especially as a mage tank. This phase, you basically just have to survive. Just tank, use your abilities. One thing that I didn't mention is that the red bombs. If you use an ability such as Barricade, you will not take damage from the first red bomb that hits you, but any blue bombs after that red bomb will hit you. Likewise, if you use Resonance, the red bomb will just turn off your resonance. It turns off any defensive abilities you have on, so be careful when using defensive abilities. If you need to, you can use Barricade, as I said, but just know that the ball that comes after your Barricade will still hit you. Now, for this phase, you want to stand on the far north or the far south edge as far from your team as possible. As you can see, I'm on the south edge, the other mage tank is on the north edge. If he starts maging you in this phase, it often lasts a while, so be careful about that. After he does his first reflect, if you're not taking too much damage, use Metamorphosis and put on your dual wield, because you want to deal as much damage as you can. The gimmick of this phase is your attacks will push Vorago back towards the east, his attacking will push you towards the west. If he pushes you all the way towards the west, your whole team dies. If you push him all the way to the east, you can use the Maul of Omens, kill him, and then you can finish the kill. So you have to push Vorago back by dealing damage to him. So that's why you want to use Metamorphosis and dual wield after his first reflect, because then you can deal the maximum amount of damage possible. Alright, now, once you get him to the edge, your DPS person, one of your meleeers, will use the Maul, and congratulations, you will have a successful kill. So I will cut ahead to right before right before my team is able to use the Maul, just so you can see the final animation, and that will be the end of this guide. So here we go. Alright, we just pushed him to the edge, so now somebody's going to use the Maul of Omens. He smacks him once, smacks him twice, and then shoves that needle right into his eye, and some sort of weird Prisma-colored ink comes out. And there you go. You've successfully killed Vorago. It's kind of silly in this video. You see that I get Crimson Charms. Up to this point, I had never gotten anything other than Crimson Charms from Vorago. Never even a Seismic Energy. When you want to leave, click on the ball, click on the red ball. You've had plenty of balls in this guide. So click on the balls, accept to leave, and you can rebank, do whatever you need to do, and start over again. Alright, so that is the end of my Mage Tank Vorago guide. If you have any questions, feel free to PM me or join my friends chat. I'm probably not going to be in my friends chat, but feel free to PM me. I'll try to keep my private chat on in case anybody has questions. I usually find a team on the forums. And yeah, that's basically it. So thank you very much to everyone who watches this guide, and I am hoping to be putting out more videos soon. Currently I'm doing a clue scroll log of 100 of each type of clue scroll, and I'm going to compare the profits of each. So if you are at all interested in that, then feel free to subscribe to me. That'd be very appreciated. And with that, I will see you guys next time.